Little water bottle break for you. Welcome to the Martial Mind Podcast. Today we got a great episode planned for you. Happy winter solstice. Let's get into this.
All right, guys, so a couple of announcements. We're going into the new year, and most people, if you're living on Long Island, as you're getting ready to, let's try that again. What's going on, everybody? So we're going to start with a couple of announcements. First and foremost, the Discord is growing, so go to the bottom of that episode description, clink our lick tree.
Clink our lick tree.
Clink our lick tree.
You gotta get a little lick from that lick tree.
All right, everybody, we're going to start with a couple of announcements. First and foremost, go to the bottom of that episode description, click our link tree, or put that into your browser, linktr.ee/MartialMindcast in lieu of us having it.com. We will one day soon. And support the show. Become a patron today and help us do this full time. That's the dream, guys. That's the dream. There's t-shirts available. Our Instagram is there. Our YouTube is there. So click that like button and subscribe.
Give us your money, or we will take it by force.
And we'll definitely be pretty sad.
We're coming for you. We will find you. I have a particular set of skills. So yeah. And also, if you're living on Long Island, we are looking for more students for the beginners class. We've had a lot of people move from the beginners class into the intermediate class. And that's opened up a lot of spaces on the floor in the beginners class. Not too many, though. So jump on that. And the first of the month is approaching. So, if you're living on Long Island, check out the school at shaolinlohan.com.
Come train with us, bro. All right. So today, we're recording today on December 20th, 2022. It is a day before the winter solstice. So that's a pretty important day for a lot of different religions. Like it existed within paganism for a long time. And it actually represents the movement of celestial bodies in the sky, which is a pretty impressive thing for ancient civilizations to have done. Like it's actually the shortest day in the year is tomorrow. So from there out, the days become longer. And it's as if the sun is literally rising in the sky because it's, the axis of the earth is changing its position around the sun. So the days are getting longer. Things are getting better.
And winter solstice is like the Cyber Monday for seasonal depression.
It all starts today, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the worst tomorrow, so get ready for that. It gets dark. It's already dark, so I gotta go to bed.
Oh, dude, it gets so bad for me, too, because, I'll wake up in the morning, I hit the gym, and it's like I wake up, the sun's barely come up, I hit the gym, I take a shower, I go into my office, and I'm locked in a dark room until I leave, and then it's dark again. Yeah. And I don't see the sun until, July.
What do you mean the sun you got while you were in the parking lot of the gym isn't enough for
you? There's a little bit of sunlight that hits my face on my way from the car to the front door, basically.
Yeah. That fucking sucks.
But what's cool is about this whole season is, a lot of the dates, even December 25th, the date for Christmas was Saturnalia. Yeah. Which is the Roman holiday of, basically just debauchery. It's drink and have sex with everything. And the Roman Church, the Catholic Church was like, we're going to take that day.
Yeah, this is ours now.
We're just going to...
I'm the captain now.
Yeah. How about instead of all that butt sex, Christ?
Dude. Choose Jesus.
They were doing some craziness. Dude. If you look into Saturnalia, it was like... Really? Okay. All right.
It's butt sex day.
Yeah.
It was butt sex day.
It was like sex with the couch, anything,
Holy crap.
Eat, drink, and come,
Oh, goodness.
If it's got a hole, fuck it. If it doesn't have a hole, make one, then fuck it. What do you mean we can't?
Of course
it's historically accurate, Ed. What do you want?
I mean, the fact that they had vomitoriums, that they would eat until they couldn't eat anymore, and then they would
Wait, they had vomitoriums? That's
You've
news
never
from...
heard,
No.
You've never heard of a vomitorium?
No, I knew about, the bathhouses where everybody would just...
They were dining halls.
I knew they would all shit together, too.
Oh, yeah.
A vomitorium where it was a dining hall with a slanted floor so that they can eat and puke and continue to eat. So if that is... So that sums it up for you, the kind of debaucherous, yeah.
All those rooms were just built with a kiddie pool of throw up in the corner.
Yeah, it's like the...
Why does it smell like, oh, there it is.
It's like the Lubyanka. There's a building in Moscow where they would take people to the basement and execute them, and it also had a slanted floor so that the blood would drain out of the room instead of pool.
And that is intelligent architecture, I have to say.
I mean, the Romans invented the aqueducts, so they've been moving fluids around, not just from room to room, but from person to person. They were really good
with, even Saturnalia, the holiday of fluids.
Yeah. All sorts of this wide spectrum of Roman fluids.
Yeah, but even the Christmas tree, was a pagan tradition.
Right.
And even the Yule log is for the god Yule.
Did not know that.
Yes. The Yule log is an offering to the god of Yule.
We must sacrifice this chunk of wood and play happy music.
Yes.
All day.
Well, that's ultimately what happened is a lot of pagan rituals got absorbed into our holiday rituals, you know. So, yeah.
Amoeba'd.
Well, it's the same thing as Easter. And there being bunnies and shit like that. And everybody's like, you know, the day that Jesus died and came back as a rabbit that hid colored eggs. I stole that from a stand-up comic. I don't know which one, but if you remember, leave it in the comments.
Shame him.
So, but even the fact that you brought up Easter. So I was actually talking to somebody recently that basically, like I mentioned, with the celestial bodies, like the positioning of the sun relative to the winter solstice, it's at its lowest point in the sky, and it kind of enters a phase of flux where it appears to be in the same position for 3 days, and then begins to rise again.
Yep.
So the precession of the equinox.
Right, and so you know, even though Easter was when Jesus was like, you know, he was killed and put in the tomb, and he rose 3 days later. So think about that. The sun stays, you know, at its lowest point for 3 days, and then begins to rise.
Well, there's even a lot of theories that Christ in and of itself is just an allegory, I believe is the correct term, an allegory for the sun. Like even the story of Christ is an allegory for the sun, like you know, in the cave for 3 days because the sun is away for 3 days basically, and then rises again, and it all lines up. It all lines up with the movement of the sun and how that would affect farming and crops and stuff like that. And the reason that Easter is you know, at the start of spring is because then it would be the start of like the planting season.
Right.
You know, so that's what the rabbit is. The rabbit is fertility. You know, the whole rabbit and egg thing with Easter all goes back to ancient fertility practices and rituals.
It's like less of the existential battle of good and evil and getting into heaven, and more like Farmer's Almanac type stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
too cold
You'll
for corn.
never
there was
be
utility.
lonely with farmersonly.com. You know,
Let me sow your
and we're
crops.
back. I don't think we've talked about farmers
Bitch.
only since like episode 3.
Well, I haven't done much farming recently, but I guess I have to get on that.
You playing WoW again?
I have not been playing WoW. It's been a long time since I played WoW.
I saw on my credit card statement the other day that I'm still paying Blizzard. I'm like, fuck! I'm still signed up for World of Warcraft. God damn it!
I wonder how much of their revenue stream is just people that forgot about them.
Yeah.
It's like gaming Planet Fitness.
Oh, goodness.
You know,
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty fair.
just donating.
Planet Fitness, where you can get a good workout in, and there's pizza waiting for you in the lobby.
God.
God, you just took me out with that one.
We've
The
seen the
fact
pictures.
that Jim does, it's like I'm not even like listen, like I'm like somewhat physically workout inclined, like now, you know, generally knowledgeable about how to exercise. but it's-
You were a high school athlete. You have a little bit. I was a high school sitter. I was a very athletic.
You were a high school athlete. I
uh,
was a high school smoker. So-
cushion work. Yeah,
I was a
that's
high school
also
guitar
true.
guy. It was that dude that had his guitar. That was me, and that sucked.
But like the idea that like Planet Fitness, they just don't have any like regular bench presses there. It's like we have a Smith.
No.
They don't have any flat benches?
We don't have any bench presses,
No,
and we
no.
have
No barbells.
But don't worry, we have
No
two
barbells.
Smith machines for the whole gym, and it's
Yeah.
like
Don't like that. Don't
well,
like
it's-
that.
why?
The reason is because it's supposed to be a.
This is an inclusive space.
How is
okay?
equipment intimidating?
Non-intimidating space. Yeah, well, because you've never been fat.
But how? But people can be intimidated. But it's like it's a bench press.
Okay, I'm gonna devil's advocate for Planet Fitness right now. The entire gym is idiot proof.
The whole bitch.
The whole gym. Because you can go in and every machine has pictures with instructions. So somebody who knows nothing can go, oh, I worked my arms yesterday. I guess I should work my legs today. Where are the leg machines? And they can start there. And it's all about like, it's like Planet Fitness is like, I think about it like this. It's like elementary school. You know, Planet Fitness is elementary school. Then you go to like an LA, and LA is like high school, which also works because there's like fucking a bunch of high schoolers
It's
there.
all kids.
You
It's
know,
wild.
LA's kind of like high school because they got a couple barbells, but there's like, you know, some of them have the squat racks now in the functional fitness areas because it's more popular.
You might
but
even find a pool.
You might even find a pool and a basketball court. But, you know, like one of those kinds of gyms where it's kind of like an all-around fitness gym. Like you can do lots of different stuff. You can play a sport there. You can play racquetball. You can take a class. You can lift weights. You can learn about barbell stuff.
You can hang out at the shake bar, get a shake.
But then there's like the gym that I run my office out of, Outlift Athletics, who, again, if you're living on Long Island, this is the #1 gym to go to in Suffolk County. It is the fitness facility in Suffolk County, and it's expanding. I mean, they just signed a multi-million-dollar deal to expand the gym. I'm going to have a new office. The gym's going to more than double in size. It's going to be
crazy.
It's going to be insane. But like that gym's like college because it's like you go there and it's like nice free weights, calibrated plates. Machines that are there are plate-loaded machines, so it's not all like, selected machines that have limits on it. You can stack plates, but you have to know your body. You have to know how to work out. You have to know fitness in order to really like utilize a lot of like you need to learn barbell technique. You can't just walk in, and that's another reason why Planet Fitness doesn't have barbells, is because if somebody who knows nothing walks in there and they start doing like the wrong exercises, it could be potentially really dangerous and people could really hurt themselves.
And when you deadlift, make sure you just jerk it back really hard like this,
And then can you do that one more time?
Just jerk it back really hard like
Get
this.
your cock real close to the camera and do that again.
Just lift with your neck.
Yeah, you just lift it with your neck. Lift just like that fucking idiot I see all the time. Like he's like hanging from the barbell and he's like riding a bike while he's hanging from the pull-up bar.
What?
It's just ridiculous fitness stuff. Like I saw this other video where this guy's hanging upside down and he's got a barbell in his neck and he's got a vacuum cleaner hanging from one side of the barbell and a garbage can hanging from the other side, and he's trying to it's like ridiculous stuff for attention. But regardless, that's another story. But the point that I was trying to make earlier is like you never had to be insecure about your weight.
Not true, actually. That's false. Because I was a skinny kid.
Okay, but
I get what you're saying, but also
about being overweight and feeling like everybody's looking at you and being in the gym and being like, God, like I've got boobs and I'm rolling over myself and I don't want anybody to see me fuck this up, and you don't know what you're doing. And like I started in Planet Fitness when I was like 19 years old, and if it wasn't that kind of environment, I probably would have never.
So all of that, I experienced all of that except being overweight.
Well, yeah, I mean,
all of that was there of like the inexperience, like me being the skinny kid. Like, and someone's like, do you need help? And I'm just like, go away. Like that's what I was worried about. But people are like, oh, this fucking kid. So I get what you're saying, but I also understand, that
all right, okay, yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. But the point, I think it's good for people who are uncomfortable, and it's good for people who are afraid and don't know what they're doing. And they do have free weights there, so you can learn free weight exercises, which is good. They, a lot of new Planet Fitnesses have like some lightweight kettlebells, and they'll have like some pull-up bars and some ropes and some functional fitness stuff. So some of them are starting to become a little bit more good,
more good,
more betterer,
more,
yeah,
yes, yes.
But again, that was also the reason why I started training martial arts. I started training martial arts because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't want to do personal training because I didn't I didn't understand fitness. I didn't understand staying in shape, but like the physical requirements of each sash at our school is what pushed me to learn. And that's why when everybody tells me they're like, oh, I have this issue. Well, you're the expert, like you know your stuff. Like, why don't you help me? I'm like, no. I'll give you advice. No. I'll give you advice. I'll tell you where to find the information, but you got to go get it yourself. You have to study yourself.
Right.
Because if you just go off of what I regurgitate to you, it's not enough. But I can give you, I'd rather teach a man to fish. Like there's resources out there. There's, Knees Over Toes guy, Ben Patrick, then his whole thing, the Athletic Truth Group. Unbelievable information. There's Squat University, whose name I can't remember, of the physical therapist that runs Squat University. But Squat University is an unbelievable channel to learn from. Jeff Nippard is a great YouTube resource to learn from. Jeff Nippard is fantastic. His information, his dietary research, and it's not even stuff. And even the More Plates, More Dates guy, if you want to know more about like what supplements to take, what not to take.
It's all these people are like heavily researched.
I don't really like Derek's. For More Plates, More Dates. I don't really like how okay he is with steroid usage and stuff like that. I think that's kind of dangerous in the culture these days. I see a lot of people who are young and on steroids because they're like doing the Achilles thing and chasing glory early. And I get it. You want to be big, you want to be huge, you want to compete, you want to be a strong man, you want to recover, you want to this but it's you got to think longevity.
I mean, I think with that though, just as a quick aside, I think in listening to him, I think though he doesn't promote steroid use in the sense of he just is open about hey, if you're going to use steroids, be of age.
It's
be
very
safe,
non-judgmental and matter of fact.
Yeah.
But I feel like a young person could watch that and be swayed. You know what I mean? Use it to solidify their already bad ideas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know, but again, that's not his fault. All he's doing, what he does is great. He does a great job. He puts out there very real, very non-judgmental information about things he's very educated in. He's very knowledgeable about like all different kinds of supplements and all different kinds of ways to take care of yourself and all different kinds of XYZ. If you want to learn about stuff, More Plates, More Dates is an excellent YouTube channel. And it's so silly because it's like it's a ridiculous name. More Plates, More Dates. It's so
true
stupid.
statement. True statement.
But he started the channel as a joke and then it took off and he's like, I guess it's a name now. But what I like about Planet Fitness and how I feel like it ties into the whole solstice thing is like the solstice is a time of transformation. It's when we move from one section of the year to another. You know, like the seasons help us manage and feel the passage of time, right? And through that is a transformation. Through that is a transformation. And Planet Fitness is a good, start for people to make their transformations. And then as far as training is concerned, I feel like we're always going through these metamorphoses. Metamorphosize. Is that it?
Metamorphism.
Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis. I think it's
metamorphoses.
I think it's metamorphosis.
God damn it, John.
God damn it, John.
But, and I don't know for you, it's funny, I said to Jenny last night, I was like, God damn it, it's time for me to transform again. Like, I feel like I gotta go Super Saiyan 3.
It's morphin' time.
It's morphin' time. No, seriously though, dude, because like,
turbo time.
But this is where it happens. This is what I love about this show, because we're all at different stages, you know what I mean? Like you have, you're at like the start of your black sash. You're at the beginning of the intermediate journey.
Beginning of the middle.
I'm still at the start of my black sash. I'm just like a step ahead. And for me, it's more knowledge. Like I have a little bit more knowledge, but you have a little bit more physicality. And if we could fucking fusion dance that shit, we'd be unstoppable.
We could become one person that's kind of good.
But that's what I said to Jenny last night too. Like it's that time, and like the change of the year and the new year and the solstice, everything like that kind of makes you feel that. And it's time. Like we started to push really hard when we started this show, and then I feel like the past couple of months has been difficult for all of us to not even just get together, but like stay consistent with certain things. And like now all of a sudden it's like go time. You know what I mean? I'm feeling that in the air. Like it's go time.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea for us to kind of like reflect on this period of change, and for us to just focus on improving ourselves positively. It's a great time to do it, and I think I mentioned in the group chat, because we have a group chat.
Like 4 of them.
Yeah, I know, right? Of doing some Tai Chi, doing a nice little sitting meditation just to really contemplate that. I think it would be pretty cool. So if you guys want to join in on that, give yourself 5 minutes, do a little meditation. Think about
meditation.
Little meditation, think about this period of flux and focus on how much better things can get for all of us.
Absolutely.
Also, meditation sounds like something that you would order at a tapas place. So,
and regardless of when this episode comes out, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, happy New Year, because it'll probably be out after the New Year, but still.
Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, happy that.
Yeah, hope you had a good time, and hope that it was a great time with your family and a good time of transformation for everybody out there. So
cool.
So.
Moving on. We I don't know if you guys saw this in the news, but we got this article from USA Today. Scientists achieve nuclear fusion breakthrough in historic experiment. How it works. So I'm just going to read this because I'm not going to be able to recite it as well off the top of my head. So a breakthrough this week in nuclear fusion could point the way to a future of carbon-free power. In a press conference Tuesday in California, the Department of Energy revealed that at 1:03 a.m., December 5th, scientists at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory's National Ignition Facility. Woo, yeah. Wow. That's quite a name. Actually, I heard somewhere.
That is the remix to Ignition.
I heard this institute. It's called the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. It's all lasers, and as an abbreviation, they call it lasers, and lasers. So that's kind of funny.
Lasers, and lasers.
Yes, yeah. So the National Ignition Facility drove atoms together with lasers in a test.
Big surprise.
Yeah, that produced more energy than was used to create it. A process known as ignition. As in, let's just say they used Let's say they use 2 kilowatts to power the laser, or to fire into this item. You know what? I'm going to leave my explanation aside. We're going to continue on. What the process entails. In a process called inertial confinement, Livermore researchers focused 192 lasers into a tiny metal capsule roughly the size of a pencil eraser. The lasers heat a peppercorn-sized fuel pellet containing a deuterium and tritium, compressing it to a density and temperature that fuses atoms from the fuel and triggers fusion.
I love it was like, boss, we have 190 lasers. We're ready to start. He goes, that's not nearly enough lasers. And two more. Now we begin. It's like, grab them from the back closet. Two more lasers.
I'm sure it's a very sciencey reason for why
No,
it's
I know. It's
192.
There's probably some geometric
lots
formation
of
they
math,
were
lots
in.
of math
Lots of
involved.
math.
Yeah, shit that we
But
know
I like
nothing
that. But I like to think
about.
it's just because like the guy has like OCD or something, or he's like a prima donna. Two more lasers. Then we
190,
begin.
192. It's like we need it must be a 20-footer, like from Jaws. 25.
25 at least.
So let's see here. Density, temperature, fuse atom for the fuel. Yeah, there we go. In the December 5th test, the process yielded, in a fraction of a second, an output of 3.15 megajoules of fusion energy, while the laser consumed only 2.05 megajoules. The milestone was built on years of fusion energy research, near misses, and recent successes, like a test that yielded a 1.3 megajoule output in August of last year. Fusion power has frequently been called the holy grail of clean energy. So, just to sum that up, they used 2 megajoules to power the laser, and they produced 3 megajoules. So that is what we call an infinite energy glitch, like in the gaming world. Like, this is really the future. This is the first big step on a civilization pivoting move into the future.
Because now that they discovered this, they're going to find ways to make it even more efficient.
Well, that's right, because these lasers were not built for efficiency at all. They were just throwing, like, they were emptying the
Just
bucket.
throwing shit at it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They
were
bought
just
them off Amazon.
These were optimized with for
I was
maximum
using these
power.
to play with my cat, and I just taped all the buttons down and pointed it at a soda can, and now
and I created the sun.
I mean, but people, scientists have known about fusion energy since like the 40s.
Right.
The
been able to.
the
Haven't
hydrogen
been able to
bomb
recreate it.
it uses fusion.
This is the whole Doc Ock thing. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Dude, it's insane. The amount of energy that's produced inside of that little fuel capsule is greater than the sun. It's ridiculous. So fusion energy releases a
Sun's a little
tremendous amount of
bitch.
energy when two light nuclei are forced together through intense heat and pressure to form a heavier nucleus. It's a characteristic of stars like the sun, where pressure from gravity and heat triggers an ongoing fusion. Fusion is happening in the sun every moment of its existence. That's how it produces so much energy.
Yeah, that's why there's so much power.
Yeah. While both processes deal with changing the nucleus of atoms, fusion, the joining of atoms, is a different process than fission, which involves splitting atoms. The fission process powers nuclear plants, but comes with significant safety drawbacks. In the unstable nuclei it generates, producing nuclear waste that can remain radioactive for tens of thousands of years. Fusion has long been a more attractive energy source, as it generates almost no radioactive waste and emits no harmful greenhouse gas emissions into Earth's atmosphere. So this is a zero carbon footprint way to produce infinite energy.
And this is the kind of stuff we need to be investing in and voting for.
Yeah.
And this is something that is.
I already bought a Tesla.
So I'm doing.
So
fine.
now what?
We're funding those lithium mines in
Well,
Africa.
well, it's not even that. If you live in a democracy, I don't know where you're listening from, but if you live in a democracy, instead of picking sides, pick the things that matter most to you.
And free energy, free clean energy should matter to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It really is. Like energy is the thing that makes or breaks a nation. If you don't have energy, you don't have anything.
Right.
Really.
And having cheap energy is the best way to lift people out of poverty, because if you can't afford to heat your home, it makes life very difficult, and it makes it difficult to survive or even do anything, because
there's so many people that die every year in poorer areas because they're burning manure in their home.
Yeah, biomass deaths around the world are a big deal.
I mean, even just the idea of burning wood as fuel.
Biomass deaths.
Caused by we calculate 5 to 10% of worldwide air pollution mortalities are due to biomass burning. So that's like your wood burning stoves.
About 250,000 people each year. That's insane.
Air pollution from burning wood, coal, biomass. It's 3.5 million deaths annually. It says right here, the global death rate.
Where is this from? This is from 2016.
Yeah, so that's
Bioenergy Insight.
Yeah, biomass fuel linked to 3.5. It linked, so that's the air pollution.
I'll get
250,000.
The global death rate from air pollution will skyrocket in the next few decades, lest the energy buckles down and significantly reduces its emissions, the Internal Energy Agency says. In the High Energy and Air Pollution Special Report under the World Energy Outlook, IEA says an estimated 6.5 million deaths are caused by air pollution annually. Of these deaths, 3.5 million are connected with energy poverty and the use of biomass and kerosene for cooking and lighting that affects 2.7 billion people worldwide.
Yeah.
It's insanity. So even if... And you know how it's worse for the environment to just burn wood out in the open.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
to like have a fire
terrible.
pit in your like all this fire pit shit in the backyard. How many people have fucking solar panels and then go, we're gonna go have a fire. Come roast s'mores.
My fire pit's right out there, man.
I'm calling my parents out right now. But like, you know how terrible it is for the environment? If we switched from fossil fuels just as our power supply, not even cars. Forget cars.
Fuck cars.
Fuck cars.
Fuck 'em.
But
Get a bike, bitch.
But switch off, make electricity basically free, switch homes to electric heat, get off of the home heating oil thing, and then ship our home heating oil over there.
Well,
away from us.
Well, that's the thing.
But if we can set people up,
well, a lot of
it would be better for the environment. I'm thinking idealistically, but still.
I mean, a lot of the people that are burning biofuels can't afford fossil fuels,
Yeah, it's
and
right.
then
linked
beyond
to
that, they
poverty.
can't afford
Yes.
the solar panels and all that. So if one becomes cheaper, the others become cheaper because it becomes more accessible. And so like there's a price to pay when you're burning fuel. It's naturally what that is. But if you make fuel more expensive so that people can't afford it, there's a loss of life that stems from that. So you're hurting the environment, and people are dying no matter what you're doing.
Right.
So there's kind of a double-edged sword. So we might as well do the thing that leads to more innovation and more survivability. In that people need energy. People need it. So when you make it harder to live and harder to afford energy, that's where people start dying. But this eliminates that. What were you going to say, bud?
Well, no, that's one of the things I think what seems to be one of the hard truths that people, not as in like this truth is coming from me, but just what I've understood as like one of the hard truths people don't want to look at in regards to decreasing pollution is like decreasing poverty rates and raising people up out of poverty in third world countries is like, because it's like they don't have enough money to give a shit about the environment.
Right.
It's like
Right.
we have the ability to care about like maybe
We don't
I'll
realize
get
how
an
fucking
EV.
privileged we are.
Yeah, maybe I'll get it. Maybe I'll get an EV instead of like a regular car, and they're just like, hey, if I don't burn this wood, I can't boil the water, so I don't get dysentery and die. And it's like they don't give a shit. Like, they can't.
Meanwhile, we have people here like they're upset their barista at Starbucks didn't notice their neurodivergency. You know what I mean? Like get out of here.
people-
You didn't notice it.
Like you know what I mean? Like didn't even realize. Like like I have all these pins on.
Yeah, you really can't make statements
Look
about
at all my
like,
pins.
look at all these pins. Look at my flare.
Pieces of flare.
Like pins and flags.
But like, it's really hard to make those judgments about worldwide energy consumption when you're so out of fucking touch from the rest of the world. And like, I'll be the first one to admit that I don't know shit about a lot of stuff. Like, I'm a dumb motherfucker, man. But even I can understand that when you make energy cheaper for everyone, the quality of life increases.
The more intelligent you are, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
That's why usually smart people are usually more quiet. A lot of the time.
Well, damn, we have a show where all we do is talk.
God, we're pretty stupid.
Yeah, we're pretty dumb.
Oh, man.
no!
Like,
no!
So the lights have been turned on us. Like, suddenly we're dumb.
Suddenly we're morons.
But like the implications of this, guys, like I'm amazed I haven't heard more about it. Like I was talking to my buddy Lance recently, and he's the one who sent the article to me because I didn't hear about it until I got a text message, and it was 5 days after the report dropped. And I was like, how is this not on the front page all week? Like, how did I not hear about this? This is the first step towards.
Sure they won a Nobel Prize for this too. I'm pretty sure.
Well, this just happened. It like
No, I know, but I think I feel like I saw an award ceremony with talking about this.
Because all the media wants to talk about right now is Elon Musk.
Dude, I was on the phone. I was on the phone with Lance, and I was, dude, I'll bet you. I'll go to New York Times right now. there will be nothing on the front page, and it's all January 6th. And I went through 5 or 6 albums. January 6th, Trump. January 6th, Elon Musk. January 6th. And I'm like, what the like? How are we not talking about this? Because this eliminates all the problems that we have. We can get free energy forever.
Literally,
when
because
the end of this road.
It doesn't pay. Media just wants to talk about problems instead of talking about solutions. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Nobody wants to talk about solutions. Nobody wants to have their ego damaged by anything at all. Everybody just, like it doesn't pay news outlets to post stories that don't get people angry because then you don't click it. Yeah, you just click on it because you're interested in it.
If it bleeds, it leads, right?
Right. So if you put something out there that it's just like, I wonder if somebody will be interested in this, it gets a million likes. When you put something else out there, it's like, this is going to destroy the nation. People are like,
a billion
what's
likes
happening?
and shares.
Elon Musk is going to let Trump back on Twitter. Elon Musk is going to step down as CEO of Twitter. It's like, who gives a fuck? About Twitter.
Dude, it's just,
who gives a shit?
Wild.
Like, I don't even want to talk about any of it.
He's going to incite violence. It's like just everybody just relax. Everybody just fucking relax and take care of yourself.
I don't even want to honor the topic by giving it a mention. It's just like, I don't give a shit.
It's like they care about all the stuff, and I'm like, when was the last time have you drank any water today yet?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just
chill
calm
the fuck
down?
out.
Like,
it's like it's like that thing where you hear about all the problems in the country and you're so upset, and then you go outside and the sun's shining and like a dog walks past you, or like very typical of showing up at John's house with a deer in the front yard, like
just chilling. I live amongst deer.
His neighbors are deer.
I'm part of a pagan commune. We live amongst the deer.
There's just this one deer that's just like, I can eat this grass.
That's just Larry.
Are you gonna stop me?
Yeah.
Right here, bitch. Right in the driveway.
Right here, bitch. Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, you have all this fear and all this anger and all this hate on the internet, but then you've got this world-changing positive step towards free energy for everybody, because it doesn't.
It's very exciting.
It's
very very exciting.
Amazing.
I mean, you think about what that could lead to, again, in the sense of like clearly like affecting global emissions, affecting our input on global warming. I mean, affecting even something as simple as like I remember Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson were talking about. He was
in the recent one.
It was the one that we were talking.
Just came out with a new one.
It probably is that one they were talking about. Like, Joe was asking me. He's like, why don't you just put, like, for all the places that don't have clean water, like, why don't you just put, like, why are there not desalinators like all over the coasts of like third world countries? And he's like, because like, how are you going to power them? Like, with what power? And it's like,
that's the big.
It's like, dude, it's like, and it's just like this. Just like once you have energy, there's so much stuff you can do with it.
Right.
And this is way better than the other plan, because like there's.
We're just gonna kill a lot of people.
And me looking into because this is something that has been concerning me, and I try to stay on the right side of things, like not like literally like right, left, like
man,
like the correct side of things. I try to stay on the correct side of things, and I try to do my research and come up with my own opinions. And one of the things that I had heard about when like looking into nuclear power, and I have a client who he deals in power plants, which is a crazy business to be in, but like they buy power plants and fix them up like crazy.
Just like HGTV, like house flipping, just with like power plants.
Yeah. This old power plant.
Me and my wife are gonna paint this power plant.
Our budget is $6 billion.
But it's crazy hearing him talk about like the business side of it and like finding money in different places and stuff like. But regardless of that, he was telling me about like one of the things that they can do with nuclear power is they build these facilities that last for like 50 or 60 years.
And they just turn off.
And just turn off. And you just fucking lock the door. You leave all the waste in there, and then you just build another one next to it.
That's what I was. Remember when we were driving to the city that one day? We were talking about that.
Yeah.
I was like, they can literally. You build them self-contained. You build it in a concrete sarcophagus already. It runs for 60 years. It runs out of fuel, and then it stops.
Yep.
But that's it. But the only issue with that is like you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, no.
So it's like,
but it's much safer than how it used to be.
The problem with society is that we find something that kind of works, and we go, we can just do this for a while, and then it goes on for like 3 generations. Yeah. You know, that's the issue. You know, it's even like even petroleum. Like there's all those stories of all those dudes who just fucking disappeared that came up with like the 100 mile to the gallon engine in the 70s.
Yeah, the water powered car.
Yeah, the water car. That got poisoned.
That guy died.
Yeah, the 5-stroke engine.
5-stroke engine.
The 5-stroke engine.
That's all you need sometimes, you know.
Oh my God. Well, you know, it's funny because in when I was a mechanic in tech school, we called it
this is gonna be
suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
Yep.
Those are the 4 strokes of an engine.
Suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
Intake, compression, combustion, exhaust. right?
There it is. That
So-
is the scientific term.
So then there would be a fifth stroke, right? Which would be steam.
I thought it was gonna be gawk.
So you'd have fuel and water, the heat already
right.
inside. So for a gasoline engine, this would work. This would not work for diesel because gasoline has spark, right? But so then
And diesel needs to remain $30 a gallon. So it's
no,
imperative.
Diesels work exclusively off compression.
No, I know, it's just- they're just-
There's no heat. There's a glow plug inside a diesel engine, and the only thing the glow plug does is increase the air temperature in the cylinder to help the engine start. So, like for a lot of diesels, you let the glow plugs warm the cylinder up, and then you start it, and the glow plugs don't do shit anymore. Sometimes they'll help regulate the internal temperature, like if it's cold out or something like that, but it literally just compresses the fuel-air mixture to the point that it has no choice but to explode. So it's very, very high compression.
Yeah, have you checked your glow plugs recently? You gotta check your glow plugs.
The point being, I'm going on too long about this, but the fifth stroke, it would inject water, and the steam would then drive the piston down again. And then it would have a second exhaust stroke for the
So
steam.
it's basically expand the life of your gas tank. And
Right,
and
exactly.
you
So
get
like,
out of it.
so then every other push of the piston would be from gasoline, instead of every stroke
You're
being a
literally-
gasoline combustion.
You're doubling your mileage at that point.
100%.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
crazy.
and they're just like, "Fuck you, get out of here," because they're like, "We're not going to sell as much gas that way." And even gas prices now, it's all determined by like some Saudi prince.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
There's a lot to that, but like
that's another thing to unpack that we have no time for.
we
Next
can.
episode will be the Saudis. We'll deal with that.
And then next, thing you know, we'll find ourselves in burlap sacks.
But dude, the like you guys are talking about the nuclear plants that already exist. They use fission. Fusion doesn't do any of that.
Yeah.
It just lasts forever. You don't need to abandon a building. You could put it can get to the point where you can have a mini fusion reactor in your cars.
And nuclear fission is why people are afraid of nuclear power, because fission can lead to, that's how the atomic bomb works too.
Well, both fission and fusion can produce
Is
explosions.
it fission or fission? Because you're like fission, and I'm fission.
Well,
And
it's,
I'm
fission or fission?
And I'm fishing.
it's fission.
He's fission.
Fission. Fission.
Fission.
Yeah.
Fission.
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 Fizzin.
Fission?
I just say it slightly different every time
Pheasant.
to confuse everyone. Pheasant.
Yeah, we're on pheasants now.
Fisson.
I
How'd
believe
we
it-
get
It's
here?
Fisson.
We're back on the Peregrine Falcon. What happened?
Yeah, I know. So that's really exciting news, and you know what? Another we're really at the beginning of this pivoting point. So there's such a long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the first positive step, and it also, for all you science nerds out there, is the first step towards interstellar space travel. Because that's the only way you can power an interstellar ship to go to another solar system and not run out of fuel is with fusion. So there we are. The beginnings of this technology is
That's
just
so
been
cool.
Yeah. It's the first time they got ignition. So this is a big deal.
The only thing we need to learn now is how to overcome the speed of light when it comes to radio transmissions.
You know what's so funny is I was just thinking about that. It's like even if you get to the speed of light, it's like if you try to go really far, it's still like not fast enough for you to get there before you die.
Well, think about it. Radio waves and stuff like that, they already travel at the speed of light. So when we send signals to the rover on Mars, they happen 20 minutes later.
Well, is it radio waves?
Just delayed.
Speed. Because I kind of want to just fact check that quick. Light waves, radio waves, and all. Yeah, they travel the speed
300
of light.
million meters per second.
I didn't know that. I felt like radio waves traveled at a different speed.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
Keep sucking it in.
That would be one of my on the list of meaningless superpowers to have. One of them would be every time my nose is stuffy, regardless of whether it's from congestion or boogers or mucus, I blow it and I get relief and it all comes out and I can breathe again, regardless of whether it's from congestion or not.
I mean, that's a great superpower.
That's like.
I mean, I don't think it would qualify as a superpower unless the projectile was badass and did some it was just some Danny Phantom shit woo, like a ghost booger.
A ghost booger.
Yeah.
Or like the spleen from Mystery Men. You pull his finger, yeah.
The other one is if I'm in an area with a lot of mosquitoes, is that I can just go, and then all the mosquitoes in a 1 foot radius of me light on fire, and then they die.
Man. It's just fall right out of the
You
air.
talk about satisfying.
Oh man, I love that. I love that idea.
You think about you just say, you can just go, and they just, you just watch them all perish.
Dude, I bet it would be alarming how many there were around that you didn't
Yeah.
know about.
Oh,
too.
yeah, dude.
Just all of a sudden, the air's on fire. It's all
The
mosquitoes.
whole air's on fire.
The whole campground just burst into flames. We're at Cedar
I
Point.
just set a forest fire by
Yeah.
accident. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just hate mosquitoes. I can't control my powers.
So I thought what we could do is, just fucking, check in, see what everyone's working on, and see what's happening training wise. I know for me, I've actually started ever since we got back from Myrtle Beach again, which has been kind of between getting my black sash and doing that trip have both kind of been real like Mario Kart rainbow strips, just like into like really
Rainbow Road.
really my perspective of training and has really shifted a little bit. And I, honestly, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think my appreciation and love and want for actual training, I think, has really matured since I became a black sash. Like, I liked it, you know what I mean? Like, in the sense of like I really, there's not really a way to say this without it sounding shitty, but it's like, in a sense, it's like my want to train is different and more in depth and more motivated than before I reached this level. Like, it's because I'm training for a different purpose now. So I think my appreciation of it is different. And because of that, while we're in Myrtle Beach, I looked at Seagung and I was like, yeah, I got to start taking more advantage of this.
Well, we both got shown up by somebody who was a professional fighter. Like, we both, like, he had our number,
Yeah.
And me, it was even worse because, like, everybody had stopped sparring. Then everybody there was just looking at me like have an asthma attack and not know what to do. And, I think we both had like a really big wake up call that day.
Well, it was partially that for me, for sure. I just think in general too, it was just the like, wow, like looking at like what we have and the impermanence of everything and all of it and being like, wow, I gotta like, all this stuff is not going to be here forever and I'm not going to be here forever. So I got to start really prioritizing this. So I asked Seagung, I'm like, listen, like once we get back, like I want to start doing privates. And like, and I'm proud of myself too, because it's easily something where like, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And I don't always do it. But like, this was something where like, I just prioritized it. And like, we've been, I've been doing privates for probably the last 3 or 4, probably about a month, like once a week. And it's been fucking awesome to be able to get that one-on-one training. And the one-on-one training I think is super important and something that can really fall to the wayside. Like I've done privates before, but honestly, I think in the 10 years I've been training, I really don't think I've really done that many privates with Seagung really ever. Like I did some privates with Lauscher Leo at the time. I did a few privates with Sifu Lloyd, but like, throughout my training, like I think for like my green sash test or my purple sash test, but like other than that, like maybe did 1 or 2 privates with Seagung, but like
I know we're gonna go. I'm starting privates with him too in a couple of days, and I know it's gonna be like, all right, let's go right back to Form 1, Shaolin stance form.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's what's been cool with me is that it's been, it's been very form heavy at first, because when you do privates with Seagung, it's kind of just like, this is what we're doing, and it's like,
yeah, it's not like you go there and you learn a bunch of new shit. He just helps you, refine the stuff that you have already.
He dictates what you're doing and what you need help with, basically,
which is how it should be.
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
I mean, leading up to my last sash test, I was going to get privates with Seagung like pretty much on a bi-weekly basis, just to really sharpen up and kind of hone in and see where I was at. And the week before the test, I had a private, and so we went through the material, and like the last half hour was just all right. He's like, just follow me. And we're doing basics, like, but continuous, like, just never stopping, never taking breaks. And I got through it, great. And he was like, you know what I was testing there? I was like, what? He's like, your endurance. He's like, you made it through all that without taking a break. And he's like, that was all. You've really, really improved, and I think you're ready. And it was a really cool moment, but this was months ago. This is like, over the summer when we took the test.
Yeah, and then from then on, he became a gelatinous bitch.
Yeah, I completely I let go.
A gelatin-based bitch.
I've given up.
A GBB.
A raspberry-flavored gelatin.
And raspberry-flavored bitch.
But more recently, though, we covered it.
By the way, don't put milk in your Jello, because like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
That's a little weird, guys.
Cream Jello kind of shit, where it's like, thick.
I don't know if I've ever seen that, but if I did, I think I would immediately turn violent and just somebody's getting hurt.
It's like, oh, it's creamy. It's like, it's not creamy.
Whose fault is this?
It's already good the way it is. Just leave it alone.
John's normal, and then he just turns into like one of those like chimps in a diaper that someone owns, and he just starts killing everyone.
If we all randomly turned into like cereal advertisements or like food spokespeople, Kool-Aid Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Count Chocula.
Ooh.
Would
you like to buy a marshmallow?
100%. Tony the Tiger.
All right.
Because I'm orange.
We nailed it, boys and girls.
You know?
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
That is
that's
our
fair.
unhealthy food triumph, like a trio that we got going on.
Three.
I got the
But
hydration.
let's be
you got
honest.
The breakfast. And so
I
do
would
you.
just be the cornflakes rooster.
Because you're a big old cock.
You're a big old cock.
That's what Jenny says. Anyway.
But one thing I did want to mention
It's
too,
not, though.
as far as like, well, did you finish your thoughts of where you were at with your training, Ryan?
Well, all I wanted to say was just that it was.
Did you finish your thoughts?
Finish your thoughts. Finish your breakfast.
Is just that it's been. There's a different level of refinement and also just a different level of base fatigue that comes from doing Qigong privates. Where like even if you're just doing forms, like even just working them not like super hard, but like I just find myself I'm just more tired. Like I'm like I think yesterday we went over Shaochuan, we went over daggers, and I did like a little bit of Guandao at the end, and like you're just like you're just fucking, but it's just like repetitive, in-depth training, and he really and again that's like the head of the system, so it just goes back to having that understanding of being able to recognize and appreciate who is here in front of you and who is allowing you to like use some of their time to be able to like really like because you're basically encapsulating all of his training and his knowledge and and building that relationship with him to be able to then have him show you what he knows basically and help him mold you into like who you want to become. Definitely go. I want to hear what you have to say just because there's another thought from this that I want to jump into.
Sure. So yeah, I think we went over in another episode that I've been helping out the kids on Wednesday, which is a great time. It's really a new interesting challenge working with the kids class because it's not that they're so like they get to a point of actual skill level where it's difficult. It's managing them as kids, and you have a lot of experience with the kids. So like I'm kind of preaching to the choir there, but I've also after the kids as a beginners class, and I would for the most part like was helping out Lao Shay. And basically that just winds up with me training again during the beginner's class. And then my intermediate class is after that at 8. So like I would find that like halfway through the class, I would be burning out and like I would have pain in my joints, like in my knees and my back, just because it was too much volume throughout like that. I was there from like 5:30 to like
work
10.
your way up to that.
Yeah,
you gotta
so
work your way up to that because Black Sash class is 4 hours long. So
yeah. And so like I was just really I told myself like after 2 weeks of just like ending class in pain, and not really being able to work so hard towards the end, I said, you know what, I'm going to sit out the beginner's class. I'm like not going to get on the mat. And like, lo and behold, intermediate class started, made it all the way through, no problem, like no pain whatsoever, operating at optimal levels. And it's kind of like, that's a moment for me to like, all right, well, this is where I'm at right now. I don't want to push it because I don't want to get injured. So
it's understand and appreciate your limits.
Yeah. So that's something that I discovered. That as much as I really want to help with the beginners class, because it's fun. Like Lao Shay had me work with the no sashes and show them Shaolin stance form and I think the Tenekin 1 through 6. And like, I'm in the mirror, in horse stance, and I just had this moment where inside of my own head, I feel like I look like them, because I could see them in the mirror, and they're like half out of their stance or whatever because they're learning, they're brand new. But then I look right next to, their reflection is my reflection, and I'm like deep in the horse stance, solid, like, compared to them, I'm like, it was interesting to see how far I've come, and like, I'm teaching them this now. This is pretty cool.
There are no black belt techniques, just basic techniques done at a black belt level. That's it.
That's a great. I found that online, and that's a great quote. I love that.
Really
I don't know whose quote it is, but I also found it online.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one. But that's where I've been at, just kind of managing my volume and kind of appreciating, like I'm smelling my roses. If we go back to episode 2, all right, I told you guys to smell your motherfucking roses.
I don't know if he said it like that, but now he's trying to sound badass. I get it.
Samuel L.
Trying to
Jackson.
trying to come back from the whole gelatinous bitch thing. I see how it is.
Listen, man, I have a mirror.
I understand.
Yeah, I know what I look like.
No, you're not gelatinous bitch. You're a fucking brick house, dude.
You're
the last person I want to get hit by.
To your point, though, with kind of doing basic techniques at a black sash level, one of the things that Sigong said to me yesterday, because we were going over daggers, which one is a black sash weapon, but 2 is since it's a smaller weapon, there's much more refinement in how you use it, basically in doing it. And he said to me, he's like once you get to a higher level, smaller movement becomes more important. Training becomes more about the minutia than big movement. He's like, when you start, big movement is what's important because you have no base. So you need to understand the macro of how things work and kind of get that It's like almost like you're downloading the Kung Fu operating system, like how things work, the general understanding and themes of the movement. He goes, but once you have that down, he goes, then from there, then it becomes all about detail and all about small movement. And he goes, and that's really what separates, kind of more the black, a black or advanced sash understanding from a beginner understanding is understanding the smaller movement.
So then at one part of this downloading of the operating system, do I learn how to use Excel? I still can't make a spreadsheet.
I have no idea how to do that.
I mean, if this Kung Fu school, I think if this Kung Fu school was, if its address was in probably 2003, I think that'd be a good skill to have. But I don't know, I just think you got to kill yourself now. I don't know if that's really how it works, but I think that's what Sigong would suggest.
It's over for you, bro.
We're not using Google Sheets.
We're not using Google Sheets. And I think kind of a good way I kind of think about it is that it, as you're training, training becomes more.
Little water bottle break for you.
Head. just no country for old men. Just
cattle me. Just cattle death.
Blowing out the doorknob. That was some crazy shit.
But I think a good way to think about it is that training, if you're training right, and your perspective is growing along with your physical abilities and knowledge, is that training should become almost more fractal in the sense where you you learn more stuff, but you're also going inward. You're also putting the stuff you understand under a microscope and understand that you don't understand it. Basically, is really what it is. Because again, there's so many times even, as and John, you'll I'm sure have found this out. But also, the more you do it, you will. Is even with teaching and at Black Sash, it's like even when I was helping Jenny with the demo open hand form, I was like, oh, we do this, and then I'm trying to slow it down, and I'm like, do I know how to do this? I'm like, because you do the motion, you do the big motion, and you get that kind of air of confidence in the sense of like I'm skilled, I can do this big motion, but then you try to break it down and teach it to someone, and you're like, do I actually understand it? And that was the other important thing Sigong said to me, where he was like, listen, he's like, you have good ability in the sense of being able to pick up motion. He goes, but don't confuse being able to pick up and recreate recreate forms with knowing what you're doing. He goes, that's not the same thing. And that's more that advanced and Black Sash understanding of, okay, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Not just I'm doing it because someone showed it to me and it looks cool. Because then you're missing the whole point of why you're doing it. Then you become a form eater. Then you become a kung fu stylist who doesn't know how to fight. You just become someone who's like, before we fight, look at my form. Now, do you want to fight me? And then they just stab you to death. It's like, But yeah, I thought.
Yeah, let me go back here. Boop.
But yeah, I thought that those are kind of some of the little tidbits that I've been chewing on and also just been working on, with Sigong, kind of doing privates and, been getting more of that, adding a lot of that. It's been a lot of material. It's been working on two open hand forms, like 3 or 4 different weapon forms at the moment. I've been working on like short sticks, double daggers, guandao, the first Shani Chuan #1, Shaho Chuan, and then I guess if you include Drunken Mantis, I've been trying to work up. That's been forever, but that's been like, same thing with you with Leopard. It's been like 5 or 6 forms that like I'm trying to learn and work on.
Drunken Mantis?
Powering down for a while after that.
John, I think between the strength of me and Ed, we can both hopefully hurl you into the sun.
You grab one leg, I'll grab the other.
Just
a 1, a 2, a 3. Just
into orbit.
Just out of the stratosphere.
Just Tootsie Pop owl you into the fucking sun. A 1, a 2, a 3.
I mean, the moon will work too.
The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket be right to
just
Saturn.
Anything hard that you'll die when you hit it is really what we need.
It's like the guys down in Cape Canaveral, like, sir, we have a body leaving the atmosphere. Just me hurling.
It's like the catapult. dead body in midair.
Already frozen, just completely stiff.
How would they even see you? They wouldn't even know. You're gonna yondu out of the atmosphere and just freeze.
I'm Mary Poppins, yo.
Oh yeah, I'm your daddy.
Yeah. You're like Mary Poppins. Is he cool? Yeah, he's cool. I'm Mary Poppins, yo.
I love
That's an umbrella.
So touching, so sad. I cried during that.
I did a little bit too.
Yeah.
So and just like
Rest in peace, Yondu.
CGI can just repair everything except like Sylvester Stallone's plastic surgery face.
You're not gonna get a fireworks.
It's like what?
You may dress like us. You is very good.
Didn't he have a
And they were like, "What he said?" They're like, "What did he say?" Like what? That guy has made so much money. He's on fucking TRT. He's fucking lifting weights. He's fucking dude. I want to look like that. I mean, listen, he's like 75% government plastic at this point. You know what, dude? That guy's basically that guy's legally an action figure at this point. That guy's a fucking G.I. Joe.
All his joints are fake. They're made of plastic and metal. It's, you know.
He's a Terminator.
Oh my god, he's the T1 instead of the 1000.
T1. Well, come on.
I know, seriously. It's just-
So, we love you, Sylvester Stallone, even though you're never going to watch.
Please don't hurt me.
Please don't come here.
but I mean, his story is, I mean, he wrote Rocky.
Oh, it's fucking.
And then he got turned
so
down. People were like, who's going to play Rocky? He's like, I would play Rocky.
And they're like, no.
Which
And he
one?
was like, no, I would play Rocky.
Dude, he then he sold his dog because
Yeah,
he
he sold his dog and then went and bought the dog back.
Yeah, and then he got the dog
That's
back.
so like sad.
But
You know what I mean.
I'm pretty sure that he had like a tattoo of his ex-wife like on one arm, and then I think they wound up divorcing, and so he covered it with like a tattoo of his dog.
That's so funny.
I think it was like his wife's name or something, or I don't think it was a picture of her face or anything. But yeah, replaced wife with dog. So I mean, yeah, as much as he sold his dog, he got it back. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think that's kind of a shitty move, but he redeemed himself. So
Listen, he did what he had to do.
yeah,
It
so
now
Sly's good. Sly's good.
So what about you guys? What have you guys been chewing on kung fu wise? What have you guys been working on, or any revelations, anything, any walls you've been hitting?
Yeah.
I was talking to John. When I say you guys, I'm never talking to you, Ed. John?
All right, well, John,
Well,
please.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I finally got all of Tian Chuan down, so that's the longest form I've learned so far.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like we've talked about, one of the foundations for our fighting style.
Yeah, in our family forms, we have a form called Iho Chuan, which teaches us how to be rooted and to move within that root.
Supple.
And then there's yes, rooted yet supple.
Yet
And there's another form.
Supple.
And Tian Chuan is a form that teaches us how to continue fighting while moving backwards, and teaches you the beginning understandings of tracking your targets. So they're both really, really important forms. And at the stage in the game that John is at, like they're I remember when I learned them, like they're a lot to learn.
Yeah.
They're very long, very long form.
So anything. Well, sorry, finish your point.
Oh yeah. So I'm able to go through the whole form without following someone else, and that was a big breakthrough for me. But like during one of the kids classes, no, it was the beginner class. Sigong said to me, he was like, "Yeah, well, just run them through Tennekins 1 through 6." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I just, for Tennekins, I get in the natural, and I'm like, "Wait a second," and like I brain fart on Tennekin 1, and I look up, and Sigong's watching me like, "You good, buddy?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm good." And
it better not fuck it up.
It came back to me. It took me a second. He's like, "Dude, like it's okay. Like you don't need to get stage fright and like forget all your basics." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was definitely stage fright. I've totally worked on it all the time." So going, "Yeah, I've been practicing a lot recently." So I was just like trying to cover my own ass because like I've been working on the new stuff. You forget about the old stuff. So it's a constant cycle of just like new shit, old shit, new shit, old shit. So I'm just kind of learning that.
Try being where we're at right now.
Right.
It's like
that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm at the beginning of that cycle because you have way more material than me.
Any through doing Tian Chuan, any soft points for yourself that you've realized in trying to learn the form of adapting to doing it, or anything where you're like, oh, like I kind of suck at this, or this thing. It's anything like anything that you've any self-discovery for yourself and learning that have been.
I think the backwards moving rotations and like learning to generate power from those is pretty cool. Like being able to switch your stand and use that stance. Excuse me. Yeah, you got to switch out your stand. But switching your stance and using that inertia to create torque.
While moving backwards.
Yeah, while moving backwards. That's a really interesting feeling, because normally when you think of like aggression and assertion and using power, it's in advancing. Whereas this is contradictory. We're moving backwards and learning to generate.
And still generating forwards.
Yeah. You're striking forwards but moving backwards. And you can still get a lot of power from that. With the right movement, so discovering those mechanics feels pretty cool. A lot
of that counter body movement.
Yeah, the 100%. CBM baby. So it's that's been a cool kind of revelation through that form. But it's poking like I'm realizing what little gaps I have in terms of just like balance and footwork and so
that's a really good form in the sense of figuring out whether your foot placement and tight roping when you're moving
100%
because you're using a lot of times you'll be using crosswalking as you're stepping backwards and you're stepping into forward stance or bow and arrow stance, but it's very easy to tightrope. It's very easy to catch yourself tightroping in that form for sure. So it's very important. For footwork.
It's a very geometric form too. So if you're off balance or tightroping at all, it's going to reflect when you pivot and when you turn in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So
and that goes to show with there's a lot of classic forms that like we don't have that like a lot of kung fu schools like it's to their bread and butter. Like 7-star fist, like
this many
that form,
Oh yeah, okay.
Everybody's like, you don't have the classical Shaolin form, but like at the same time, just because it's Shaolin doesn't mean like we're of like all the same system.
Yeah.
There's
like hundreds of forms.
There's like hundreds of forms, hundreds of different systems. In our particular system, we have some forms that really focus on the fighting, the first ones that you learn, and to segue this way. Like I'm still unpacking a lot of that. Like I'm unpacking so much of that. Like I have a really hard time with self-deprecation.
Yep. Same.
And with, wishing I started sooner and feeling like it's too late.
Yeah, but that's quicksand, bro. You can't just jump into that because you're not going to get out.
Well, and that's the thing. Then you end up in this like mental swimming pool of just like like despair and doubt, and it's like
you're just in the oatmeal. You're like,
yeah. And so for me, it's been like, getting out of bed on time, getting out of bed earlier is like really my project. That's really been what I've been working on lately. Like setting my alarm earlier and just getting up. Just get up. And like I was better today. You know what I mean? Like could have been earlier. Was better today. Was better yesterday. Like one step at a time, and trying to make sure I leave time to at least run 1 mile every day. Every workout, we gotta run it. I gotta run at least 1 mile every day.
It's so hard to work around, especially for fighting. How just like listen, you can get cardio. Of course, like getting cardio through fighting and training and forms form work is incredible for cardio, especially because it's basically like shadow boxing. But there is I feel like there is something with running and jogging that it is hard to. It's hard to not incorporate running as a base layer of cardio. Well, because also if you're working, it's a great way to work your heart at lower BPM ranges. So you're able to. That's what Pavel Tsatsouline talks about all the time. Is working cardio not only at higher BPM ranges but working it lower so that your heart can fully pump, can have full pumps of blood, so that it's actually strengthening and working your heart in that way, as opposed to working at higher BPM ranges where it's not actually fully expanding all the way where it can.
Right. And that's the thing, that because like I would do a lot of like I'm doing forms all the time, and like my cardio is not getting any better, and it's realized I'm not doing sustained, long-lasting cardio.
You need both.
And then because there's that wind, then it's like, okay, before I do the form again, I need to reset. And then it's like how many times, you get your heart rate up and then you reset, and then you get heart rate up and then you reset. And like, yeah, it's good for diaphragm, but like I need to do more.
That's what I meant. Is it's like I think, and this is because I also want to get back into using the breath trainer, because that's something that I have
100%.
Because I think it's like you between forms and fighting and shadow boxing, I think is more the quick, and probably also like sprints and hit stuff is more that high heart rate training. Then you have sustained long-term training for wind. And then in between all of that for resetting is like if you do all that and you do like diaphragm work and like actual like muscular breath and structural breath training, it's like, I mean, cardio wise, you're like unstoppable.
You got to work it all in. You got to work it all in.
That really, like discovering that really felt like a cheat code. Like discovering that breath trainer like really opened me up personally to a bigger like another threshold. 100%. We got to get those back in.
Yeah.
Anything else for you that you've been
Yeah. There's a lot of things, but I really think cardio, and like looseness,
Yeah.
cardio, looseness, and like realizing where there's like holes. There's always holes in the bucket. There's always going to be things to plug, and like for me recently, it's been like my lower leg, my calf down, my calves and ankles, like just like bounciness. Burning out those muscles, not being like fighting flat-footed. I notice I'm fighting flat-footed a lot, and like I notice like I'm not very mobile, and a lot of it is because I have a lot of weight to move around, and I keep putting on, like trying to lose fat, put on muscle, but I'm not keeping up with like working the calves and all that enough. Like, and not even just doing calf raises. I mean, like I was doing those drills the other day, like the footwork drills and bouncing and having springiness in the joint.
And if you don't do those enough, like you get punished immediately when you try to do them again. You lose that really quick.
And that's the thing. It's like you think you have stuff and you don't. You know?
Oh, yeah. It's kung fu and martial arts in general is just it's continuous painful wake up calls.
Yeah.
For different things.
And it's like the whole I guess my mantra lately is like that whole like you wish you started earlier but you didn't, so shut the fuck up and let's get going. Like that
it's like
Rogan
the Joe
quote.
Rogan thing. I wish earlier. It's like, well, you didn't, so shut up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to wallow, especially if everything's internalized. That's why it's important to have people.
Everybody loves to fucking tell me how old I am. You know what I mean? Everybody loves to tell me like, oh, it's getting a little too late for you there, buddy. You're gonna start declining. It's like I'm 33. Everybody can shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you're in like your physical prime.
I was about to say, like I saw somewhere that like when fighters hit like 31, 32.
You are like for fighting, like early to mid 30s is like physical prime for fighting.
Yeah, like
that's what I'm saying. Is like this year, like 2023, like I made a lot of progress in 2022, and I think I built myself up with a good base layer to really like take it home.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, John?
No, you're so right with your physical prime. I saw somewhere like all the top fighters, like they really hit their stride at like between 31 and 33. Like that's a really sweet spot for like the pros. I mean, so like there's no doubt like we're not training at a professional level, so or we're not competing at a professional level.
It's not why we train either.
Yeah, we're not. That's not our goal. So if those pros under that high intensity and high load hit their prime at this age, there's no reason that you
can't.
And
regardless, and we'll end here, but like regardless of like how good, I want to be, regardless of like how early I could have started, or anybody for that matter. It doesn't matter, because the struggles that I had to go through to be able to be the kind of person that can be where I'm at now and continue to put this work in needed to germinate in their own time. Yeah. I needed to overcome the things I needed to overcome, mentally and emotionally. Even as far as like addictions and stuff like that, like food addictions and dopamine addictions and substance nonsense. Not that I was ever addicted to anything, but I certainly, was not drinking responsibly, things like that. You know what I mean? Like all those things had to happen in their own time. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the ship never comes in for me to go fight at top tier UFC. Doesn't make a difference, because you can still become a good fighter without ever having to step into the cage. You can still be skilled. But,
absolutely.
And we're going to compete. We're going to compete. We gotta lock things down financially. It's just been really, because like we gotta travel for all the good kung fu competitions. We can't just sign up for a point sparring karate competition in some high school somewhere, because we don't want to do that. We want to do full contact. So for us to get our feet wet, the best thing for us to do is to find Sandak competitions, and right now they're all in the South. And or just at times where there's other stuff happening and we can't just financially swing it. So that's the thing. It's all about like getting the money together while having the skill. So it's like you gotta
kind of having all those things aligned.
Yeah. So it's like time. I gotta just start training like I am gonna fight.
Yeah.
Like we were doing in the summer.
Yeah. We're training hard with them.
But I think my mobility is better. I think I'm injuries and pains within my body, I think I'm dealing with very well. Mm-hmm. I'm just learning how to deal with soreness from all that work, because the soreness makes you not want to work the next day. But as soon as you start moving, you're usually better.
And that's the thing too for you, is it's like outside of age, it's like yes, of course, for anybody, age is a factor, but it's also like, outside, I would say again for you, like managing rest, like you are so cognizant of your wellness and wanting to take care of yourself for longevity. Like you don't take care of your body bad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're like constantly working on mobility and flexibility and like actual physical health and nutrition, and it's like you're training all the time. It's like
yeah. And I think the only thing that
you know?
needs to change is like I become a zombie at night when really I need to just like take 20 minutes and stretch. You know, just take 20 minutes at night and stretch. You know, in front of the TV or something like that, instead of just sitting there and being a lump. And good news. I think is a good place to end. My journey started at 27. I'm returning 34 in July. And at 27, I decided to quit my career and go back to school with the goal of not working for somebody else anymore. And I, as of this week, officially am 100% self-employed.
Woo!
Oh,
So
yeah.
it took 5 years.
That's
You know
fucking
what I mean?
exciting, dude.
But that's what
Yeah.
that's you know,
It takes
That's
time.
pretty
that's,
excellent, man.
takes time.
It takes, absolutely takes time.
So-
Yeah, dude. Congratulations.
Thank
It
you,
takes fucking time.
thank you very much. But the point that I'm making is that I'm not special. So, you know,
Well-
so anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it. You know?
Well, I think also just as a reflection for all you guys out there, you know, definitely take inventory and reflect on, you know, your lifetime of training and your experiences with training, and know that, you know, even if right now you've reached a lull in your training or you feel like you're stuck, just know that, you know, a lot of those perspective shifts and also a lot of that stuff takes time. Again, I've been training for 10 years and from where I started to now, at like my 10-year mark, I've like only now kind of feel like I've had like a renaissance in the sense of like how I feel about training and having that kind of rejuvenated in a way that wasn't before. Again, not that I didn't like training, but just that it's shifted for me. So taking inventory of that and really being cognizant of what you have in front of you and not just thinking about it as, don't get caught up in the, again, if you're not a hobbyist martial artist, you know, not just thinking of it as a place to train and work out, really try to take inventory of what you have in front of you and the real existential value that martial arts can add to and is adding to your life, and, you know, how it can affect you and those around you. So.
Yeah, and like from my personal experience and things I struggle with, I can tell you that like your anxiety is not real. You know, like it's real. You're feeling it. It's real. You should recognize it and appreciate it and, you know, respect it. But
It's in your head.
It's in your head. Like what it's saying to you is not real. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'll never be. I just don't have the talent. I just don't. All that shit is just spinning inside your brain. If you just go walk outside and take 2 seconds to just, you know, appreciate the non-sound, depending on where you are. You know what I mean? Like the air and the wind blowing through the leaves and the silence of the earth. You know, like all that chatter is just happening inside of you, and if you can recognize that, then you can shut it up and shut it off. And it's about not getting stuck in that fog inside your mind and kind of being lost in the mist of that fog and not knowing your way out, and just getting up and moving forward. Because when you start putting the work in, you feel better about it and you don't think about that for a little bit. So whenever you're feeling like that, put a little bit of work in, or plan to put a little bit of work in. You know,
100%. Just for some reason, just like, you know, that mental imagery of you talking about, just like, you got to get up and you got to go right now. And I just picture me like laying in bed. It's like, oh, in a fog. Just get up, start running, and bash right into the door frame and knocked unconscious.
Just immediately running, just sprinting. I go from sleeping to sprinting.
just kip up out of the bed. You got your hand wraps on already. Just like, get the fuck out of bed.
And just
go.
concussed. Just concussed immediately. Pants on backwards, just on the ground. It's horrible.
A good thing that a good thing that my therapist would say is, you know, is like, hey, you know, it's good to recognize the things that you're having problems with, but not getting too far in the weeds of like, oh my God, this person thinks this, or I'm worried about this, and instead just being like, I'm having anxiety, like treating it as like, oh, I'm just anxious right now. That instead of treating these things as separate individual entities that are in the room fucking calling you a piece of shit, it's like, oh, I'm just having anxiety. Like I'm just feeling anxiety is what it is. But yeah, sometimes it's not always. Sometimes to get out of mental and emotional problems, to work through them, is not with mental and emotional tools. And that's not that way all the time. So sometimes it's a good way to stimulate yourself to kind of get moving in the right direction is usually with physical acts a lot too.
Yeah,
Getting
and a lot
outside,
of times
stretching, working out.
And a lot of times
Talking
for
to
me,
people.
it's like, you know, just put on like put on like something relaxing, like some kind of meditation music, and just like stretch out for a minute.
Cannibal Corpse,
you know?
or
Yeah, something like that. Timu Borgir.
It's Coming Blood. I think that's one of their songs. Yeah.
I do believe it is one of their songs.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it is.
And on that note,
Yeah, well, everybody, thank you so much to our Discord members. Thank you to our Instagram followers. Thank you to our listeners. And this has been the Martial Mind Podcast.